Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. Today, Celestial Guardians is now live in TCG Pocket, and as I've been doing when a new set drops in TCG Pocket, I'm making my 3 new decks to play video. So this is a video series that I like to do when a new set drops, where, as it says in the title, I build 3 decks with the cards just to kind of get an idea for the set, but also to try new things and fun things. Of course, there's so many new cards. A lot of them are very exciting. A lot of them definitely very powerful. So of course, I'm not going to build around just everything that looks powerful, because I could build like 20 decks in that case. But I just wanted to focus on things. I definitely focus on some powerful things here, but I also wanted to focus on unique synergies, unique Pokemon, maybe Pokemon that you're not super familiar with, or you know, obviously there might be a couple EX Pokemon in this set that look really powerful. You know, I might try to focus on other ones just to give, you know, a different perspective. So let me know what you think of my lists, and let's get right to it. The first one is an Incineroar EX deck. This is kind of, you know, pretty straightforward. A new powerful EX Pokemon. Of course, we have the new rare candy item in this set, which is huge. That's going to increase a lot of Stage 2 Pokemon's prevalence. This set, or this deck, is built around Incineroar EX and Houndoom. Houndoom is a card that I really love, that can lock Pokemon in with Corner, does 60 damage and prevents them from fleeing, which can be really good in combination with Incineroar EX. So Incineroar EX, it has 180 HP, which is massive, and it has a move Fire Fang. For just 1 energy, it burns the enemy Pokemon, and it does 30. So burn deals 20 each turn, which is huge. So with Fire Fang, you can hit them for 30, and then the next turn, when it goes to their turn, they take 20. So it's effectively like you're doing 50 right there. So I think this is really, really powerful. Just chipping away at their health quickly for only 1 energy is pretty nice. And then you have Houndoom, which once they're burned, you can like next turn like switch into Houndoom and use Corner to prevent them from retreating. Honestly, a lot of people, like, I play a lot of decks with Corner effects, and a lot of people don't really realize like what it does exactly. So I've had a lot of cases where I use Corner on them, and then they use like the next turn they use like Leaf or X Speed, and then they don't realize that they cannot retreat. So that's pretty massive. So I also love Houndoom, and just any excuse I get to try more Houndoom is great. As for the items and supporters, we've got 2 rare candy, which is a necessity in this deck because we are trying to hit Incineroar. That does also mean we are not playing Torracat. You could play Torracat, you could play 1 copy of Torracat. I don't think you would want to play 2 copies of Torracat if you're playing rare candy, though. I guess if you only own 1 rare candy, you could play 1 Torracat, 1 rare candy. That's up to you, but because Incineroar is the only stage 2 in our deck, you know, we don't want to draw too many Torracats or rare candies and have nothing to do with them. 2 Houndour, 2 Houndoom, 2 Cape, 1 Leaf, 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus, you know, 2 Pokeball, 2 Research, and 1 Pokemon Center Lady. There are a lot of other options you could play. I really like Cape here, just because, I mean, Incineroar already has 180 HP. Getting it up to 200 is pretty massive, although it still gets one-shot by Charizard, but I've had situations where I'm playing against a Gyarados EX with a Cape on it, and it feels just impossible to kill. So I think having Incineroar with some ability to heal a little bit with Pokemon Center Lady is great. And of course, Sabrina and Cyrus are always good. Sabrina has a really nice combo with Houndoom as well, where if you have Houndoom in play, use Sabrina, they go into something that maybe they don't want to die or something, like they go into one of their Pokemon that they're setting up, and then you can just lock it in with Corner and it just ruins their plan. So pretty good stuff. And yeah, this looks like a fun deck. I was lucky I opened 1 Incineroar EX. I'm hoping to open a second so I could build this deck. The next deck is what I'm calling Anti-Meta Raichu. Now, this is another EX, Alolan Raichu EX. And I first built this deck with Oricorio, which is pretty awesome against EX Pokemon. You could build it with Oricorio. If you're doing that, though, you're going to want to play Electric Energy. However, I noticed that Raichu does not require colored energy. It only requires colorless energy, so you can play it in a deck with any type of energy that you want. And the type that I settled on here is actually Psychic. There's another new card in this set, Tapu Lele. I always say Tapu Lele. I'm just going to say that. Tapu Lele has 90 HP. It only has 1 retreat cost, just like Raichu EX. And it has Energy Arrow. This attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to that Pokemon. So we've seen effects like this before, and in fact, that's what Raichu EX's attack does. It does more damage the more energy the enemy has attached. But this is actually really powerful against decks that are trying to set up in the back with like Darkrai or Giratina or Gyarados EX. This can attack the bench. So if they're setting up a Gyarados EX, this can snipe it and knock it out if it's a Magikarp, even if it has a cape equipped. Well, in some cases. Or it can just do massive damage to Gyarados, which of course combos really nicely with Cyrus. And then you have Alolan Raichu for backup damage. This feels like cheating, but I felt like since we're playing a Psychic deck, I might as well play Giratina EX, right? We might have cases where we're attacking with Tapu Lele, which is nice, but we also might have cases where we're trying to set up Alolan Raichu by putting energy on it. And when we're doing that, we can also be setting up Giratina in the back with its ability. So yeah, I think this works really well together. We've got 2 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research. We have 2 X speed because both Tapu Lele and Alolan Raichu only require 1 retreat cost. So you can retreat for free with X speed, which is awesome. Then we have 2 Cape just to keep our Pokemon healthy, 2 Potion just because it's good, and then 2 Cyrus. Because Tapu Lele is capable of sniping the bench, we can use Cyrus to kind of pull them in and then maybe retreat into Raichu and get a big kill. So this seems like a really fun deck, and I love the ability to kind of combine Pokemon of different types. I think that's fun. And Tapu Lele is a cool Pokemon. It'll be fun to see how strong it might be in the meta. And finally, we have perhaps the weirdest deck of all, but I'm excited to try it out. This is a Serena deck. I will say too, we are playing Executor EX. So, I mean, I'm building around Serena here. I think you can kind of, your other Pokemon that you play could be up to you. There's a lot of good options to pair with Serena. If you really want to go deep on the, rare candy game plan, you can also play the Meowscarada line, just because Meowscarada is really good, and then you have 2 Pokemon that are really powerful, but they're not EX Pokemon, so that can be really strong. So Serena Executor or Serena Meowscarada, it's up to you. But Serena is a new card. It has 3 kit combo for just 1 energy. You flip 3 coins, and this attack does 50 for each head. It's very reminiscent of Executor. In fact, in some cases, it is better than Executor. Of course, in some cases, it's worse, but it feels like you're very likely to get at least 50 damage out of this, and for just 1 energy, that's huge. Of course, that means we are playing Rare Candy as well, and there's a new supporter in this set also called Mallow. Mallow says, heal all damage from one of your Shiinotic or Serena. If you do, discard all energy from that Pokemon. Serena only requires 1 energy to attack, so you can kind of put a Leaf Cape on Serena. She'll have 160 HP, which is huge. The opponent will try to chip away at her. If she can survive like a Giratina attack, and then you heal all of it with Mallow, discard the energy, and then just put an energy next turn and start attacking again. That is huge. So yeah, I think Serena looks actually really powerful in combination with all of these other cards. I guess I noticed I'm not playing Erica. I guess you could swap Potion for Erica. At the moment, I don't have Erica in the list. But, of course, Erica is another supporter, so if you want to play fewer supporters, that's another option. There's also Lily, which heals 60 damage from one of your Stage 2 Pokemon. So I guess if you go Serena Meowscarada, you could play Lily as well as yet another way to, like, just heal massive damage. This sounds like a really powerful and really fun deck. Just the ability to potentially do so much damage with your Stage 2 Pokemon and just heal so much damage as well, I think is pretty massive. So I'm excited to build this deck and make some tweaks to kind of make Serena just really good. Because I like Serena. I play a lot of Pokemon Unite, and Serena's actually one of my favorite characters in that game, so it's fun to, like, see how good she can be in this game as well. So those are my decks. Let me know what you think of these decks. Of course, these are mainly guidelines. I'm personally going to try to build all of these decks myself if I get the cards, and try them out in ranked when that starts up again. So that'll be really fun. Of course, these are not, hard and fast outlines. You can feel free to adapt these decks how you want, make some changes depending on what cards you own or what cards you want to try. There's a lot of flexibility, but I hope this gave you some ideas, and if you want to copy some of these decks, feel free and let me know how they do for you. So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like and please subscribe for more Pokemon TCG Pocket videos. Of course, let me know in the comments what deck you are most excited to build with this new set. And happy build and happy opening. I really hope you open all of the EXs that you want, and I think there's some new shinies. Rumor has it. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great one. Good luck.